Now, you know who you'll be talking to and what you'll be talking about. Let's move on to the structure. How will you structure your customer interviews? First, figure out how many people you will be interviewing and for how long. You'll want to talk to at least 10 to 20 people in total. As a rule, I like to plan for the interviews to take about 30 minutes. So use that as a benchmark for your interviews. Customer interviews might be longer, while prospect interviews might be much shorter. Now, that you've got that figured out, get out of your calendars and block specific times to do these interviews. Let's take a look at how I manage my calendar. I set aside a block of 2 or 3 hours each morning just to do my interviews. It's paramount that you use a full chunk of time to do your interviews instead of sprinkling them throughout the day. This way, you are fully focused on your task. Switching from task to task will eat unnecessary time. When you go to set up your interviews, you want to make the scheduling process as smooth, as simple as possible. Imagine a simple request turning into 10 emails back and forth just to figure out the time. How annoying is that? This is why I use scheduling tools to make it a painless process. Some tools I use are Calendly, Mixmax, Zoom, and Hangout. I also recommend setting up a sequence of reminding messages for those who have booked interview with you. Nobody likes a no-show. If you use tools like Calendly, you can set up an automatic reminders to them 1 day before or 1 hour before, and that's very helpful. Now that you've got your interview structure planned, your interview subject scheduled, there is one more thing to keep in mind: your team members. If you have team members that you want on the call with you, make sure your schedules are lined up. I highly recommend you make sure they can show up to the actual interview. Why? Because what I have found is that if you send them the recording instead, they won't even listen to it. That's a shame, because their perspective could be very important. However, I want you to keep in mind that you are the only one doing the questioning. The rest of the team should stay quiet during the interview. I usually introduce myself and mention, so-and-so from my team is also on the call. They'll be taking notes if that's okay with you. If a team member has a question they want to ask, have them write it down or send questions in Slack for you to ask. Great. Now you have your interview planned. Now it's time to get those interviews set up. I'll see you in the next section.